Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Entitled Parents. Story 1. My mom keeps pressuring me to dye my hair. Update. Hi everyone, I'm from this post that kind of got a lot of. Story 2. Of course he didn't say the whole truth about why we're not talking to him. Me and my girlfriend, Eva, have gotten into disagreements with my parents at different times. They were generally centered around some things about Eva, including but not limited to how she looks, behaves when pissed/in spiteful mood, and her background. We managed to stay trouble-free after moving for about half a year, but all good things come to an end. During this time, although possibly before, my father started seeing someone, let's say her name is Sarah. From what I heard about her before I met her, she seemed alright as a person, just a little too interested in the more private stuff. This was confirmed when Eva and I met her for the first time. She was a little distant perhaps, but if I considered what she probably heard about us from my father. She kept trying to ask us what's our story with my father. We always tried to deflect or at least give some half-baked explanation, as we felt the full detail is not really her business just yet, and doing so, and actually having something to back it up, would effectively be carpet bombing their relationship and causing issues. Yet, she kept pushing, all while telling the new things about Eva my father came up with and starting to believe them more. After Eva deflected her question for probably the 1000th time last month, Sarah blew up over text on her, saying that she gets everything about the disrespect, rudeness, and stupidity. Then she blew up on me as well with the same stuff. Having discussed the issue with Eva, the carpet bombing and its plan have been mutually approved. Hello Sarah, sorry we may have been disrespectful, we have our reasons. We promise you to tell you all we have to say, but you will probably not like it. Reconsider if you still want to know. And so, the second day Sarah told us she needs to know. So we told her within the bounds of relevance. How he supported Eva and I against my mother because it was beneficial for him, and started treating Eva the exact same way after that was over. Or how he framed Eva for cheating. There also were some other things, these two just overshadow them so much. Mind you, he did tell Sarah about these things, just from his perspective that made him look like a saint victim, he just didn't have the backing of messages and some other family members. Sarah was at loss for words, tried to argue about it, then decided to be nosy with other family members. Father has not been pleased with Sarah finding out the details and gave us an earful, but we sleep soundly knowing we just did what was wanted from us. Story 3. I got attacked by a crazy Karen and got sweet revenge. So for some background, at the time of this story was injured due to a car accident and was in a wheelchair. I could stand up but only for short periods of time. In this fever dream of a story there is me, OP, my mom, Karen, EP, and EP's kid, EK. So me and my mom were at the store. I was at the end of an aisle because my wheelchair couldn't fit. My mom was in the aisle. I was just sitting there on my phone when EK comes up and asks why I need a wheelchair. I explained it to them and they walked away. A couple minutes later EK comes back with EP. EP asks if her son can sit in my wheelchair. I say no and explain why. Immediately EP gets a disgusted look on her face and says, I don't believe you, I think you're faking it. I say I'm not, but this Karen goes on. A couple minutes of this and my mom comes back. She sees EP and asks what she's doing. EP says, this man, I'm 16 but I look older, is taking an injury to get a wheelchair. I notice my mom get visibly annoyed and starts defending me. I don't remember exactly what was said, but it got heated and EP attacked me and pulled me out of the wheelchair onto the floor and sat EK in it. Then an employee notices it and stops it and calls security. After that EP picks up EK and runs because she knew she would be arrested for it. But is blocked by my mom. When security gets there they start questioning everybody. While they are questioning everyone, EK gets away. It is only after EP is arrested that we notice they are missing. We start looking for them and when we find them, they were in the back area and had eaten a lot of the candy and was playing Pokemon on a Game Boy. It was new at the time. In the end EP was arrested for assault and EK was given to their dad. You bet your ass I pressed charges. Story 4. I feel trapped. I am 17F and my mother, 50F keeps pressuring me into bringing a guy home. I deeply refuse because she's always criticized everything about me. She is a weird person. She called me a whore because one day I came home later than usual and she decided to believe that I was fucking with a guy. I was at school, but later she would ask me why I don't bring the boyfriend that she is totally convinced that I have. Due to this my attempts to date have always been horrible. Last time I dated a guy he broke up with me because he couldn't meet my family and he didn't like that. Now I am seeing another guy but every time we go out I have to lie to my mother and tell her I go to the gym or to my friends. My father knows and he is by my side, but my mother doesn't listen. Today I was with my brother Adam and my mother. He said something about his girlfriend and of course my mother went crazy, so I told him I am not allowed to have a boyfriend even though I'm 17, you'll have to wait. To which my mother said that I was a lie, that I was the one who was a fucking weirdo and couldn't get no one. I said that bringing a guy home wasn't necessary and by telling my parents about him was more than enough. This is where she snapped and told me that if I want to fuck around and have hookups I may as well move out because I'm old enough. I really don't know what to do. Why can't she be normal? I don't want my life wasted. I want to date, I want to fall in love and I want to have a normal relationship with a guy without being forced to make a plan and lie in order to get out of my house. I'm so sad. Story 5. Is my mom entitled to something I bought with my money? So for some context I 14M had always wanted a Nintendo Switch Lite, and one night I finally asked my dad if I could buy one. I don't have a card so I can't buy things online unless I go through his account, and he said yes so I pulled up the page and he bought it with his card, then I paid him in cash. I also bought a case and screen protector with the same cash method and now my mom thinks/can, I genuinely don't know if I'm in the wrong or not, that she can take it if she wants. I just want to know if she can at least temporarily take something I bought. Sometimes when I'm in trouble she mentions she will sell certain gaming devices and it sounds like she also means the Nintendo I bought with my cash, and even when in trouble it's not like I play on it because I understand it's house rules to not play games while in trouble even if you own it. Story 6. Karen believes that offending people is her right. My name is Marcella, I'm Brazilian, F21. This text will be translated, sorry for the mistakes. I worked with a Karen for a year, I'll call her Mary, okay? Upon joining the company, my boss informed me that I should not listen to what Mary, F43, said. Because he already knew what her reputation was, and 3 employees had already passed through my position in the last year. The last employee did not even complete the probationary period, 3 months. I'm autistic, and I talked to my boss that at some point, I might not pay attention to something if I'm anxious, or I might have a fit of laughter. My boss said it wasn't a problem, that he understood. As the days went by, Mary frequently made. Story 7. I was in hospital after surgery and an entitled father left his son at hospital when he had a surgery then comes back and yells at 3 yo son who just did a surgery. This is a true story characters. Ed entitled Dad LB Little Boy My Mum MD My Dad KN Kind Nurse So I was in a NMC Royal Hospital in Abu Dhabi for a surgery last year and it had only been a couple of hours since I had done it so I was in my hospital room which was a ward but the rooms were big and the door was a curtain so me and my parents could hear things going on outside my room. I was in terrible pain so I was constantly napping or watching toddlers and tiaras lol. It was a children and teenager ward with kids who did all kids of surgeries. MMD and me started to hear a child crying so loud and thought he had a throat surgery like I had and even talking after having that surgery hurt a lot so she went with MD to go see what was happening because they felt really bad. It happens to be that it was a 3-year-old boy who had just done a tooth extraction surgery and no family members were there for him. If anyone has done a surgery they will know that you felt very vulnerable after doing it and needed comfort from family members or at least I felt that way. And plus he was 3. What kind or parent leaves their toddler at a hospital after surgery? MM and MD are comforting him so as the nurses are, and then suddenly Ed walks in and is shouting at his kid for crying. Like what sicko would do that to a toddler who has just done surgery, yet alone his own kid? He was also yelling at MM and MD in Arabic. He was being so rude and made it very uncomfortable for me and probably the other patients. The KN was still comforting him as he was yelling at everybody, and that was his last straw. He yelled and yelled at KN and made her cry, and she thought she wasn't good enough. The poor kid was crying and asking for his nanny, and his Ed said she is gone, and he was crying like crazy. I felt so bad, and my parents were saying that the nanny he was asking for was probably the only one who loved him. I've commented on many posts saying rich parents in Dubai do care about their kids, but there are some who are ignorant and the nanny ends up as a mum to the poor child. It was really tense and the nurses were crying. I wanted to get up and help, but I couldn't walk or stand up, and I didn't want to enter the situation in my wheelchair, so I didn't. The Ed left the hospital with his kid still in his gown and with his patient tracker. Like, how much more careless can you get? The nurse who was taking care of me told MM and MD about him and exactly what happened. That's literally it, and recently it has been a year since the incident, and I wonder what happens to the poor child, and I hope and pray that loving nanny came back. Thanks for reading, and please place a comment. I would love to read and answer questions. Also please have that little boy in your prayers and God bless him. Story 8. What are the things you could forgive? Hello, I just need some help processing childhood wounds. Or something else. My thoughts are all scattered. So I figured out that there are so many things I could not forgive my parents for, because how it affects me. But I also think I can actually forgive all those things too, as long as they were mistakes, not choices. But I came to a point I see that they won't change, because they don't want to. Problem is now, I became this unforgiving person and project those feelings to other people as well. How to be forgiving anymore? Can people shoot me with lists of things people do that are forgivable? What's what anymore? Story 9. My brother continues to abuse me and attempts to control my life while my parents ignore his harassment. Hello everyone. Sorry that I haven't posted in a while. I've been rather busy lately with work and home life, as well as organizing family events. On a side note, I've seen people claiming that I'm a trauma troll. I assure you that I'm not. I wouldn't be posting on here if that was the case. This is a place for true stories and seeking help. I'll start off with some good news. I recently got my license and my job's been paying more, and I've been making a lot of friends there. I will be moving out to another state next year with my partner. This is a definite, and won't be changing. Life hasn't been great. My brother is getting more and more unstable, and lashing out at the most smallest inconvenience. It doesn't matter if it's in public or not. For example, he could have someone stand in front of him in a queue, and physically attack them just because they stood in front of him. He's gotten more impatient, and is treating me even worse. My brother has also increased his hatred for me enjoying anime. I sometimes like to listen to music from my favorite anime, to which I jump around and imagine myself and the characters I write about in fight scenarios against villains, as well as openings to an anime and manga I want to create someday. He hates this, and repeatedly hits the walls in an attempt to disrupt me. Recently, I was dancing around and imagining a scenario, when he did it again. I opened my door to tell him to stop, and he physically attacked me, scratching, punching, and even biting. I pushed him away, and yelled at him to get the FK away from me. My dad heard this, and stomped down to me and listened to me and my brother's side of the stories. He believed my brother, and screamed at me for attempting to start ST when everyone was trying to sleep. He didn't even stop my brother from teasing me and insulting me right behind him. The next day, I tried watching the first episode of Oji no Ko, which was an anime that I'd been waiting to see for a long time. I got through most of the episode, when my parents got home around the scene where a character dies. They began rummaging through a bag, which snapped me out of the trance I was sitting in while watching this. My brother saw this as a good opportunity to begin harassing me for enjoying anime, while my parents couldn't hear him over the rummaging. I paused it and waited for them all to leave the room. He took notice of this, and stalled my parents for as long as he possibly could. When they eventually did, I went back to watching. My brother heard this and walked out to me, and continued insulting me for enjoying anime, telling me to stop bashing ST and to stop acting like a jerk. He completely ruined the music I was going to listen to, as I deeply enjoy the opening/ending themes. I told him to stop and go away, to which he guilt-tripped me to a point where I eventually yelled at him to leave. My mother heard this, and accused me of throwing a tantrum. I went to my room and cried. The day after, he tried shoving his way past me to get his toothbrush, and yelled at me to shut up when I told him to leave. When I eventually finished and turned around, he kicked me in the back and punched me, and I quickly left. In the same evening, after I'd finished work and was about to brush my teeth and sleep, he was walking to his room, and quickly dropped his water bottle onto the ground. He then rushed inside the bathroom. I got there first, and he shoved me out of the way and nearly into the bathtub. I pushed him back, and he called me a fat FK. I've been watching my weight, and this comment deeply hurt me. He's recently even told me how much he hates my partner, just because I'm happy and enjoying my life. My partner was throwing a party last weekend, and I was planning on going. Learning of this, my brother faked being sick to stop me from going. Sadly, my partner and their mother both have major health issues. My parents prevented me from leaving, and my brother teased me about it. The day after the party, he teased me again for not being able to go, and attempted to start a fight with me. Later on, he tried to start another fight with me and screamed at me to FK off because I asked him if he knew the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, while he was watching Revenge of the Sith. He even attempted to start another fight with me when I placed my plate in the dishwasher before him. I've also recently began paying my parents' board, since I've acquired enough money to comfortably pay them with my new job. Their response to this was that it wasn't enough, and that they paid their parents more in board. I even started putting some money away in my savings account, to which they said I was putting too much into it, and I needed to stop. I can't wait to leave my house and travel away with my partner. To the people who've previously commented on my other posts, I've listened to all your advice, and thanks for your suggestions with the people I should either talk to and/or call. Thanks again. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.